The story begins in a small coastal town, a place where everyone knows your name and thinks they know your business. But no one truly knew Ethan Ward. He was a calm, soft-spoken man in his early 30s, the kind of person who faded into the background. He worked quietly as a data analyst, a job that suited his methodical, observant nature. People saw his quietness as simplicity, his calm as passivity. They had no idea that beneath that unassuming exterior was a mind painfully good at observing people and even better at uncovering secrets. He never used this skill for harm. It was simply how he was wired, noticing patterns, connecting dots, reading the subtle shifts in behavior and tone that most people missed. He was a ghost in the machine of daily life, and he preferred it that way. Until she arrived. Her name was Lena Harwood, and from the moment she stepped into a room, she owned the energy in it. Charming, magnetic, with a smile that could disarm anyone and a voice that made you feel like you were the only person in the world. Within 2 weeks, she knew everyone, shop owners, neighbors, local figures. She built a web of connections with effortless grace. But the first time she crossed paths with Ethan, something shifted. Not for him, but for her. Because Lena wasn't interested in quiet people unless she needed something from them. And Ethan would soon learn she needed a lot. It started small. A friendly smile at the coffee shop. A casual question about his work. Compliments that felt a little too polished, a little too deliberate. Ethan noticed, of course. He noticed everything. But he didn't judge. He simply observed. Then came a sunset evening, the kind that painted the town in gold and long shadows. Lena approached him directly, her confidence feeling rehearsed, like a line she'd practiced. "Ethan," she said, her hand gently touching his arm, "I've heard you're the smartest person at your firm, the kind that can make complicated things look simple." He blinked, uncomfortable but polite. "I try," he replied. "How can I help you?" That's when she gave him that smile, a slow, sweet curve of her lips that didn't quite reach her eyes. "I'm working on a project. Something small. Something that needs someone with your talent." A project? Ethan hadn't seen her work anywhere. She hadn't mentioned a business. She'd been in town barely 3 weeks. But he stayed quiet, letting her fill the silence. "It's nothing big," she said, her voice light. "Just a little help analyzing some trends. I'd pay you, of course." Of course. Ethan didn't need the money or the work. But something in her tone, a slight tension beneath the ease, made him curious. People who speak too lightly about something are often carrying something heavy. Still, he agreed. "Send me the details."
She did.
And that was the beginning. Within days, her small project transformed. It became late-night messages, urgent calls, files with strange labels that seemed designed to obscure rather than clarify. Her requests grew bolder, her expectations more demanding. It didn't take long for Ethan to realize the truth. Lena wasn't asking for help. She was using him. And the deeper he went into the data, the inconsistencies, the hidden numbers, the unusual transfers, the clearer her secret became. Lena was hiding something big. Something that could destroy the carefully constructed life she'd built in this town. And without knowing it, she had handed the evidence directly to the one man who noticed every single detail. But Ethan didn't react. Not yet. He watched. He waited. He gathered every clue she carelessly left behind. Because while Lena thought she was playing him, she had no idea she was dealing with someone who never entered a game he couldn't win. The next few weeks revealed the real Lena Harwood. To the town, she was a ray of sunshine, volunteering at events, complimenting shop owners, making everyone feel seen. But behind closed doors, Ethan saw a different person. Her messages came at unreasonable hours. "Hey, I need this done by morning. Can you make these numbers look more polished? I know it's late, but this is super urgent." Her tone shifted from polite to expectant, as if she owned his time. Ethan didn't complain. He simply observed the patterns. She always asked for help when no one was watching. She phrased her requests as if he owed her. She never asked what he needed. And she dodged direct questions about the inconsistencies in her data. One night, he finally asked her, "Lena, Where exactly is this report going?
She paused.
Too long. Oh, just a client, she said a little too casually. Small investor. Nothing worrying. But Ethan knew she was lying. The numbers weren't just abnormal, they were illegal. They pointed to a scheme, someone moving money, covering tracks, hiding transactions under fake categories. The strange part was the amounts. They weren't massive. They were small, consistent, quiet, like someone was siphoning funds slowly, hoping no one would notice. Lena didn't seem like a criminal. She was something more common, and in some ways more dangerous, a charming manipulator climbing the ladder by stepping on quiet people. But she had misread him completely. Ethan wasn't quiet because he was weak. He was quiet because he was patient. And patience in the right hands is a weapon. The turning point came on a rainy Friday night. Lena showed up at his apartment unexpectedly, soaked and breathless, her composure gone. Ethan, I need you to run a quick analysis. Right now. Her tone was demanding, desperate. He opened the door wider. Come in. She rushed inside, pacing, biting her lip, pulling up files on her laptop. Her words tumbled out too fast. Can you fix these? Please. I need them clean. Very clean. And by tonight. Ethan sat calmly across from her. Lena, he said quietly. What's going on? She froze. For a half second, he saw the real her, panicked, cornered. But just as quickly, the mask was back, that practiced smile plastered on her face. It's nothing, she said too quickly. Just something came up. Then she leaned in, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. I really need your help on this. You're the only one I can trust. Ethan held her gaze. Trust? Where had she earned that word?
But he didn't argue. Fine, he said.
Leave everything here. I'll look. She exhaled in palpable relief, grabbed her purse, and rushed out the door without another word. That was her first critical mistake. Because the moment she left, Ethan opened every file. And he found it. Her secret. The truth she tried so hard to bury. The proof she never meant for him to see. And in that moment, Ethan didn't feel anger. He felt a cold, clear clarity. Lena thought she was using him to cover her tracks. But she didn't know, Ethan never allowed anyone to use him twice. And now it was his turn to move. Ethan sat at his desk long into the night, the hum of his computer a steady companion to the distant thunder. He opened the first file. Then the second. The third. The deeper he went, the more the puzzle pieces locked together. These weren't project reports. They were evidence. Evidence of money moving through channels it was never meant to touch. The transfers were small, tucked into obscure categories, but Ethan mapped them across months, then a full year. The dominoes fell, revealing a clear pattern. Lena had been quietly diverting funds from a charity she claimed to work with. Not a fortune, but enough to be damning. Enough to ruin her. But the most surprising part wasn't the money. It was the motive. She wasn't stealing out of sheer greed. She was hiding something. One document brought his scrolling to a halt.
A name.
Mara Sterling. Recurring payments to a private clinic 3 cities away. This wasn't a business partner or a friend. This was someone Lena was hiding. Someone she didn't want anyone to know about. And then it clicked. This was her secret. Her pressure point. Her entire fragile world depended on keeping this one connection invisible. Ethan leaned back, his breath slow and steady. She had entered his life with a smile and sweet words, manipulated him into cleaning her messes, used him like a disposable tool. But her critical error was underestimating the one person who could see the cracks in her perfect facade. As he organized the files into an airtight, chronological timeline, he felt no hatred, no rage. Just purpose. Lena wanted to play a game.
Fine.
He would play, but on his terms. The next morning, his phone buzzed incessantly. Lena. Her messages were frantic. Did you fix the numbers? Please say you did. I need them, ASAP. Are you awake? Ethan, this is important. He ignored them.
For now.
He needed her desperate.
Off balance.
He needed her wondering. By noon, she showed up at his office unannounced, her hair messy, eyes tired, breath uneven. The charming woman was gone, replaced by a frantic stranger. She practically slammed her hand on his desk. "Why aren't you answering my messages?" Ethan closed the folder he was reviewing and looked up, utterly calm. "I was working." "Then why didn't you respond?" Her voice cracked.
Panic.
"Good." He gestured to the chair. "Sit." She did, reluctantly. Ethan folded his hands. "Lena, I went through everything you sent." Her throat tightened. He saw the fear flash in her eyes. I just needed it cleaned up," she stammered. "It's nothing serious." "Is it?" Ethan asked, his voice soft but firm. Her eyes darted away. A lie was coming. He waited. "I told you, it's just a small investor project." "No," Ethan interrupted. "It's not." She froze. "You're moving money," he said, steady and clear. "And you're hiding where it's going." Silence. A heavy, suffocating silence filled the space between them. Lena's fingers trembled in her lap. The mask had cracked. "Ethan, you don't understand." "Then explain it." She swallowed hard, opened her mouth, then closed it again. She stood abruptly. "I have to go." And she left, storming out of the office, pale and shaking. Ethan didn't follow. The game had officially begun. For the first time since meeting Lena, Ethan felt a profound shift within. Not toward anger or spite, but toward clarity. The kind of clarity that emerges when you realize you've been used and decide quietly to take control back. Lena saw his calmness as weakness, his patience as pliability. But Ethan had spent a lifetime being underestimated. She was just the latest to make that mistake, and he intended for her to be the last. His plan began as he began everything, slowly, quietly, with precision. He knew she was scared. He knew she was replaying every interaction, wondering how much he knew. Fear made people sloppy. Fear made them confess with their actions. So he watched. At town events, she pretended all was well, but her eyes constantly flicked toward him, checking. At the grocery store, she accidentally bumped into him, trying to gauge his mood. Through mutual friends, he heard she'd suddenly developed an intense interest in privacy laws and digital security. She was spiraling and trying to hide it. Good. The tighter she clung to her secret, the more leverage it gave him. But Ethan didn't want to destroy her. He didn't want humiliation.
He wanted balance.
She tried to control him, blame him, frame him. Now he would show her what real control looked like. The first step wasn't confrontation. It was connection. He needed to understand the missing piece, Mara Sterling. Why was Lena sending her money? Why the secrecy? Secrets aren't born from greed. They're born from fear. So he began to research, using only public records, community files, digital breadcrumbs. Slowly, a picture emerged. Mara Sterling was being treated at a private facility specializing in rehabilitation for emotional trauma. It was a safe house. And an old record listed a familiar name as an emergency contact, Harwood. Lena Harwood. Mara wasn't a stranger. She was Lena's younger sister. A sister hidden away due to a toxic past, an unstable history that Lena was desperately trying to keep buried. The money Lena diverted wasn't for greed. It was for her sister, to help her quietly, without anyone knowing. In that moment, Ethan understood. Lena wasn't a villain. She was a desperate woman making terrible choices out of fear. And suddenly, Ethan wasn't angry anymore. He understood her motives. But motives don't erase manipulation. Motives don't erase betrayal. She tried to sacrifice him to protect herself. He wasn't her enemy. She had made him one. Now he would force her to face the truth she was running from. Not with cruelty, but with strategy. He would corner her to break her pattern of manipulation, not her spirit. The first move was to make her realize he knew everything, without him ever raising his voice. Late one evening, he sent a single message. "Lena,
We need to talk.
tomorrow. My office. Noon." No details. No emotion. No explanation. Her replies came in a panicked flurry. "Is everything okay? Ethan, please don't do anything rash. I'm begging you."
Talk to me.
He didn't reply. He didn't need to.
She would be there.
Noon couldn't come fast enough for Lena. She arrived 30 minutes early, pacing the hall, wringing her hands. She looked like someone awaiting a life-altering verdict. When Ethan finally appeared, she rushed toward him. "Ethan, please, before you say anything, I need you to know I didn't mean to drag you into anything. I wasn't thinking. I didn't mean to push you. I didn't mean to." "Come inside," he said, his voice calm. She followed him into the small conference room. He closed the door. The calmness in the room was more intimidating than any anger could have been. She sat, her body tense. He remained standing for a moment, just looking at her, not with judgment, but with utter clarity. "Lena," he began, "I looked through everything." Her eyes glistened with unshed tears of panic. "I know about the transfers. I know where the money went. And I know who it went to." Her breath hitched. She pressed a hand to her mouth. "Ethan, please, you don't understand." "I do," he said, his voice gentle. "More than you think." Tears spilled over and traced paths down her cheeks. The charming mask was gone, completely stripped away, revealing only a scared, vulnerable sister. "Then you know why I did it," she whispered, her voice breaking. "You know what Mara went through. You know what my parents were like. You know why I had to hide her. If the wrong people found out, she wouldn't be safe. I tried everything. Doors kept slamming in my face. So, I did the only thing I could." Ethan let the silence hang for a moment before he sat across from her. "Lena," he said quietly, "helping your sister doesn't justify using people." She looked down, a tear falling onto her lap. "I know," she whispered. "I know. And I'm sorry. I just didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know who I could trust. You still shouldn't have tried to put the blame on me." Her shoulders slumped in a gesture of pure defeat. Her voice was a cracked whisper. "I panicked. I thought you were going to expose everything. And if you did, Mara would be dragged into it too. I'm not proud of what I did, Ethan. I'm ashamed." There it was. The raw, unfiltered truth. Ethan watched her, reading the genuine shame in her posture, the trembling of her hands, the way she seemed to fold in on herself to protect something fragile inside. "Lena," he said finally, "I'm not your enemy." For the first time that day, she looked up and met his gaze directly. "I know," she whispered, "but I won't let you use me again." She nodded quickly, tears still flowing. "I understand. I deserve that." Ethan leaned forward, his elbows on his knees. "I'm not here to destroy you. I'm here to make sure you stop destroying yourself. This," he gestured vaguely toward the space between them, representing all the hidden files and lies, "isn't sustainable. Eventually, someone else will notice. Someone who won't be as patient as I am." Her breath trembled as she inhaled. He continued, "You need to fix this. Not hide it. Not bury it. Fix it." She nodded again, swallowing hard. "Just tell me what to do." Ethan exhaled softly. The first part of his plan was complete. He had her attention. He had her honesty. He had her willingness to change. But the real test was coming next. Because Lena wasn't the only one who needed to face consequences. Ethan was about to take the final steps, not to punish her, but to force a true, unavoidable accountability. The kind of reckoning that doesn't break a person, it reshapes them. The quiet evening in the small town didn't match the storm rising inside Ethan's life. What he had uncovered kept echoing in his mind, a truth he could not unsee. It was real. And now there was no going back. The next morning, Lena walked into the office as if nothing had happened. Her smile was soft, her steps gentle, her voice sweet. To anyone else, she was warmth itself. But Ethan saw the secret hiding behind the perfect charm. When she reached his desk, she placed a coffee beside him. "Thought you'd need this," she said, her kindness feeling a little too deliberate. Ethan forced a smile. "Thanks." She walked away, humming softly, as if guilt wasn't eating her from the inside out. As if she hadn't used him, manipulated him, and planned something far bigger than he had initially realized. Ethan watched her move across the room, greeting coworkers, laughing, playing the perfect teammate. But now, With the truth unveiled, her mask was transparent to him. Later that afternoon, she called a team meeting. She stood before everyone, glowing with a confident authority. She spoke about the new project, the deadline, the competition. Then she delivered the line that twisted in Ethan's gut. "We need someone responsible to handle the final pitch. I think Ethan should take it." The room nodded in agreement, impressed by her apparent fairness. Ethan remained still. He knew the truth. She didn't want him to shine. She wanted him exhausted and stressed, handling the heavy labor while she positioned herself to take the credit. It was the very strategy she had joked about in her private messages. She looked at him, her smile a masterpiece of false support. "Ethan," she said softly, "do you think you can take the lead?" His coworkers looked at him with respect. She looked at him with hidden intentions. And for the first time, Ethan felt a strange calmness settle over him, the calm that comes the moment before a plan clicks into place.
"Sure," he said.
"I can handle it." Over the next few days, Ethan began connecting all the little dots he'd previously overlooked. Maya sending subtle comments to the boss to elevate herself. Maya playing confused in meetings so he would step in and explain. Maya smiling at him during his late nights because his hard work directly enabled her easy success. He replayed their old conversations. "Maya, remember when you said I should take this whole project home?" Her soft, dismissive laugh. "Come on, Ethan. You're better at these things. I'd just slow you down." Or the times she'd praise him publicly, only to offer quiet, undermining criticism in private. The pattern was now painfully clear. She had been using him for months, and all he had wanted was to believe she was a good friend. The final push came 3 days later. Ethan overheard a conversation he was never meant to hear. Maya and her coworker, Lena, were whispering near the break room. Lena sounded worried. "Maya, are you sure this is okay? Ethan trusts you." Maya sighed, a dramatic, performative sound. "That's why it works.
He's too nice to question me.
Once the pitch is done, the promotion is mine. Ethan's good, but he's not good enough for the spotlight. I'm doing him a favor." Lena was silent. Maya lowered her voice further, a conspiratorial edge to it. "And honestly, he's so easy to manipulate. I just smile, and he does what I want." A quiet, cruel laugh followed. Ethan froze. The betrayal was deeper than he had imagined. It wasn't just about credit. It was about making him feel small, invisible, useful, but never recognized. For a moment, a deep, heavy anger swelled within him. But then it melted, refining into something far more potent. Clarity. He now understood that Maya didn't just betray him, she underestimated him. And that was her greatest mistake. That night, Ethan sat at his desk long after everyone had left, the glow of his laptop illuminating the dark room. The project files were open, his notes ready. But instead of feeling the weight of her manipulation, he felt focused, resolved. He whispered to himself, "She thinks she's playing me." A small, almost ironic smile touched his lips. She has no idea. He wasn't planning anything cruel. He wouldn't sabotage the project or ruin his own work.
No.
He would turn her own secret against her. Not with hate, but with truth. Pure, undeniable truth that she couldn't hide behind a pretty smile or twist to her advantage. The betrayal was complete. Now the response would begin. The night was silent, but inside Ethan's mind, the architecture of his plan was being built. The betrayal had reshaped him, sharpened his edges. He didn't want to destroy Maya. He wanted justice. He wanted the truth to speak for him. He wanted fairness. And he knew exactly how to achieve it. He spent the next day studying her patterns, her timing, her tactics, her method of shifting weight onto him while positioning herself for praise. He approached it all with a calm, strategic mind, the same way she had, except he wasn't lying. He wasn't manipulating. He was preparing. For the first time, he analyzed their dynamic as an outsider, and what he saw was clear. Maya used charm as a shortcut. Ethan used work as a foundation. Charm fades. Work remains. That became his mantra. While Maya believed he was working late to finish her workload, Ethan was actually building something she wasn't prepared for. He created two versions of the project. Version A was the one he shared with Maya. It was good, clean, competent, exactly what she expected him to deliver. But then there was version B, the real pitch. The stronger, more powerful, deeply strategic version that only Ethan knew existed. He worked in silence, ensuring no one noticed. He wasn't stealing her work. He was protecting his best work from someone who had proven she would take advantage of it. He still had the evidence, the screenshots of her messages, the recording of her conversation with Lena, the documented remarks. But he didn't want to use them as weapons. They were his insurance, his shield, proof to hold the truth steady if she tried to twist the narrative again. He kept it all secure, locked away in a private digital vault. An unexpected ally emerged one afternoon. Lena, the co-worker from the break room, approached his desk, looking nervous. "Ethan," she said softly, glancing around, "can we talk?" He nodded, surprised. They stepped into an empty room. Lena took a deep breath. "I heard what Maya said, and I didn't feel right about it." Her eyes were sincere. "You don't deserve what she's doing." Ethan, who had been carrying this burden alone, felt a small weight lift.
"Thank you," he said.
Lena's voice dropped. "If you ever need someone to confirm what she said, I will. I won't lie for her." He wasn't alone anymore. Someone else had seen the truth. As the presentation day neared, Maya's confidence seemed to grow. She smiled wider, talked louder, acted more and more the part of the star she believed herself to be. But Ethan saw the tiny fractures in her composure. She checked in with him too often. "Ethan, the slides are ready, right? Ethan, you finished the numbers? Ethan, don't forget the final summary." Her voice was cheerful, but the pressure beneath it was becoming undeniable. She needed him, more than he needed her. And Ethan realized the core truth. Maya was terrified of doing the actual work herself. Her entire success depended on others believing she was the mastermind, when in reality, she was just exceptionally good at pretending. The more she checked on him, the quieter Ethan became. He answered politely, calmly, professionally. He gave her no frustration to latch onto, no emotion to manipulate. His silence became its own form of power, and it scared her more than any confrontation could. People like Maya fear nothing more than losing control, and Ethan gave her nothing to hold. On the eve of the presentation, Maya's message popped up. "Hey, don't forget to send me the final file. Grinning face with smiling eyes, want to check everything before tomorrow." Ethan stared at the screen. She wanted control. She wanted to see the work before the boss did, so she could adjust the credits, add her name, and ensure the narrative favored her. This was his final move. He sent her version A, the safe, simple, predictable version. It was good, but it wasn't the masterpiece. She replied instantly, "Looks great. I'll just add my notes on the main talking points." Grinning face with smiling eyes, he knew what that meant. She would shift the credit. He didn't stop her. He didn't warn her. He didn't react. Because the real pitch, version B, was waiting for the right moment. The moment she would least expect. The moment she couldn't talk her way out of. Maya thought she was controlling the story. But Ethan had already written the ending. He saved the final file and prepared for the morning that would bring the undeniable truth to light. The morning of the presentation arrived, the sun filtering through the office blinds, casting long lines of light and shadow. The air was thick with anticipation. Maya entered, radiant and confident, every bit the star she believed herself to be. She smiled at Ethan, expecting his usual compliance, his quiet support. But today was different. Ethan handed the boss the version B file, the masterpiece, the one she had never seen. Her smile faltered, a crack in her perfect armor. "Wait, I didn't get the final version?" she asked, her voice straining to remain calm. Ethan remained silent, his expression unreadable. The presentation began. The room was full, executives, investors, colleagues. Maya stepped forward, ready to claim the spotlight. Then Ethan pressed play. Slide by brilliant slide, the project unfolded. It was strong, strategic, undeniably superior. Every insight he had held back was now on display for everyone to see. Eyes widened around the room. Brows lifted in impressed surprise. A soft murmur of approval rippled through the audience. Maya's lips parted in stunned silence. Her plan to steal the credit crumbled to dust before her eyes. And then Ethan did the one thing she never expected. Calmly, methodically, he presented the timeline. The messages, the whispers, the instructions, all the evidence of her manipulation laid bare. The room fell into a deep, profound silence. Maya froze. The color drained from her face. She realized, in that horrifying moment, that every lie, every manipulation, had been quietly documented by the very person she thought she controlled. Ethan, what, how? She stammered, her voice a thin thread of sound. Ethan looked directly into her eyes, his gaze steady and calm. Your role was noted, Maya, he said, his voice soft but clear, carrying through the silent room. But the work speaks for itself. The truth didn't need to be loud. It didn't need drama. It was simply, powerfully undeniable. Her colleagues glanced at one another, some nodding in slow understanding, others looking shocked. But no one could doubt the facts laid before them. Maya had tried to manipulate. Ethan had delivered excellence. The truth had won. After the presentation, Maya retreated without a word. There were no arguments, no dramatic scenes. Just the hollow realization that the game she had played so carefully was over, and she had lost. Ethan returned to his desk. He didn't gloat. He didn't smile in triumph. He simply sat, enveloped in a calm certainty, knowing that justice had been served not through vengeance, but through integrity and skill. In the days and weeks that followed, Maya never tried to manipulate him again. A quiet, unspoken respect began to form between them, built on the rubble of her deception. The lesson was learned, though Ethan never spoke it aloud. Manipulation only works if the other person doesn't notice. Betrayal only succeeds if the other person remains unaware. And in the end, patience, integrity, and quiet observation are far more powerful than any amount of charm or deceit. He had been played once, but he turned a game around, proving that the quiet, observant person often sees what the loudest manipulator misses entirely.